Hello everyone, and welcome back to my build for the Nautilus. Last time I built the chart room, but I was not happy with how it was furnished. And fortunately, some of you shared some ideas with me, so I want to try those out today and see if I can improve this room. And then I'm going to add on the ceiling and wrap up the build for this area. So I took out the dead man's trunk, which I had put down last time, and I've already gone into the interior and brought out the interior toys. And I'm going to use this terrifying trunk instead, because I think this more closely matches what was in the movie, and it's shorter. So we're going to drop that there. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this map. And we're going to raise up the bookcase and mount it on the wall. And then I moved this wall back, and I took out the little floor block that was down there and put it up here temporarily, because I'm going to lower this. I just like the look of this sitting down there better. And I think as we finish up the build, it's going to be good to have that down there and out of the way for what I want to do with the ceiling. Alright, so now that we've moved those, we can put that block back. We can put this block back. And there we go. Okay, now for the tables. Drawings Are Sketchy suggested that I use a floor block attached to a path for the table work surface, and I thought that was a great idea. And so what we're going to do is use a few small floor blocks, and I liked that idea, and I wasn't quite sure why I didn't think of it. But if we put this on a path, we can raise this up, and the size and scale of this will just about match what we had in the movie. And I think we can even raise this up enough to put the trunk underneath the table. That's what I am hoping. And I think if we put it like here, and we put another one like this, so 2 blocks there, and then we put one over here instead of that bookcase, I think that's the way to go. So I'm going to stick one of these out here. We're going to put 2 blocks out this way. And let me go ahead and take these blocks out, just to make it easier to see what we're doing here. I'm going to replace these later. And we don't need this bookcase, so we'll take that out. Okay, yeah. So, now we need a path. And we find that up under Creativitoys. We have the path creator. And I'm going to put this, I think, about right there. And we'll just drop 1 point down. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, like that. Add our point and exit. Okay, for the path properties, let's see, we just need to turn this off. Actually, as I'm looking at it, that's going to put the table surface back underneath the wall halfway, so we want to bring these points out. That's what we really need. Okay. And did I set the properties on this path? I don't think I did. Yeah, turn that off too. Alright, let's start with this one. So I'll select this block, new path connection. Connect it to the path. Go into the block properties. Actually, before we even do that, new logic connection. Anchor our camera. Alright, and go to the vertical offset and raise this up. Let's try 2 first. See what that looks like. That actually looks pretty good. Let's see what that looks like with the Lone Ranger standing next to it. It's up a little high. Let's go ahead and drop that down and see what that looks like. For a work surface, that's too high. This might be too low, though. But let's see. Alright, so that's about the right height, but yeah, that's sitting pretty low, isn't it? And it's sticking out pretty far. So yeah, I think we probably do want to put that halfway into the wall. So I think my initial path placement was correct. Alright, so let's just delete that link. And we'll move the path back where it needs to go. And before I move the other one, we'll reattach this and see what we get. And look at that. That's about right. I like that. That is not as detailed as what's in the movie, but the scale of it is much better for this room than the interior toys. So I really like that. Okay, let's do the same thing on the other side. Now that we kind of know what we're doing, this should go a little quicker. Alright, new path connection. Toy box path. Go into the properties. Vertical offset 1. That's good. And I think if I try to bring that over, that's not going to sit above that trunk. So I think we're going to have to just do the one piece. Because otherwise, it's not going to look... I was hoping to make it look like the trunk was sitting underneath, and I think if we could have put this up at level 2, vertical offset 2, that would have worked good. But because it's better at this height for the character, I think we have to just leave that sitting there by itself. Okay, so that looks really good. I like that. Now, the next thing I want to address is that railing. Because Drawings Are Sketchy also pointed out that the railings I used are destructible. So that's not going to work. I think what we're going to do instead is use the ledge hangs. And I can't really use these, because if you'll notice, there's a gap between them, and that just looks ugly. So I think what I want to do instead that looks better. It's a more continuous thing. Alright, and let's move these blocks up out of the way temporarily. Because I'm going to try something here. I don't know if this is going to work. But I have an idea for the ceiling. And I also have an idea for maybe being able to extend this railing all the way over. Because right now, if I try to put this over, it hits that block. And that's a problem. But we're going to use the trigger area trick and see if I can put those blocks in there with a railing already in place. That's my idea anyway. And we'll put one on the other side too. And we will see what happens. So let's drop our trigger area in. And then I'll show you what I have in mind for the ceiling. I have no idea if this is going to work, but we're going to try it out. All right, so this we're going to set up like that. I want to make sure I completely engulf the objects that I'm going to be working with. So we're going to come out like that. We're going to come all the way back to here. Okay. I'm just curious, can I drop this down now? It's still going to have me hit that railing, so that's not going to work. Oh, the railing is not in the trigger area though. Hold on. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm trying to grab that little handle. Oh, I'm way over. There we go. Trying to get down to there. Okay, so now that's engulfed. Let's see what happens. Nope, still going to hit it. What about if I put the block in first? Sometimes the order of these things makes a difference. And this trick doesn't always work with everything, by the way. Yeah, see, it's not going to work no matter which way I go. Alright, so that's out. I'm not going to be able to put those in. So we're going to have a gap on the railing, which is a bummer. I suppose the other possibility, though... Well, I guess not. Never mind. I was thinking I could attach this to a path, but I can't. I can attach the block to a path, though. I don't want to keep using paths everywhere here, but that's an option. And I might end up doing that. Let's, yeah, let me go ahead and put those back in, because I really want those railings in there. I'm going to use a path for this block. But let's see if my other idea will work, because what I'm thinking for the ceiling... let me show you this screenshot that we looked at last time. This was our only shot that we had looking at the ceiling. And you can see that the ceiling is graded, and you also have these braces that come down on either side. And I was trying to think how we could duplicate something like that. And I got to thinking about these graded platforms. And so I was thinking that maybe this could sit kind of like this and look like it's part of that block. And we do the same thing on both sides. And then we could put this in the middle like that. Let's see what that looks like. Might be easier to see the part hanging down from up here. So I kind of like how those braces hang down, kind of like those things did in the movie. And I like the grate. But let's see if we can move these blocks down, even though those are there. There we go. Look at that. It will let us put those down. Well, not that one, though. It's so picky. Why would it do one of them and not this one. What if we raise this up a little bit? Make sure that's completely engulfed. Nope, it's just not going to let me do that. Okay. We are going to have to use a path then. Unless... yeah, it's just not going to let me do that. Interesting, it let me do that for this one though. Yeah, a lot of people swear by this trigger area trick. But you know what? It seldom works for me. It doesn't matter what order I do things with. Once in a while I can get lucky and it'll work. Other times, most of the time, it doesn't. So that's why I like to use the path. Because this, at least, I know what I'm going to get. And I know I can make this work. Alright, so we're going to drop another little path there. And, yeah. Do the same thing on the other side. I hate using paths all over the place, but on a build like this, may not be able to get away without using it. Alright, turn off auto start objects. Turn off auto start objects. Alright, so first block. Whoops. That's not the button I wanted to push. New path connection. Toy box path. There we go. That overlaps the railing. That does everything I want it to do. Alright. That moves it out from the wall. That moves it where I want it to go. New path connection. Cancel. Just realized I need to move that path up. Because the block... yeah, these need to come down. I have those up too high. Okay. Now we'll attach new path connection. Toy box path. Properties. Alright, so this one comes out to here. The other one we already set the properties on, so we just need to connect this to the path. That looks pretty good. Let's do these other two. Let's do the back one first. It's going to be easier to see. Toy box path. Properties. So that one goes to 2. This one will be -2 then. There we go. Let's see what that looks like. That looks really good. Look at that. We have the grate. We got those little things that are kind of hanging down. We got the railing going all the way across. And when we come into the ship, yeah, look how those hang down. I like the way that looks. That looks very similar to the movie. And with the grate up there, I like the way that looks. We got our ledges over here. This is looking much better. Much more like the movie. All right. Let's go ahead and put a couple of grates on either side. Can't really carry this all the way across, but if you're standing in the middle of the room, I don't think you're going to be able to pan the camera up high enough to see it anyway. And then on this end, I want to put these in because really this should continue all the way across, but I can't do that with the map there and have the map there without making the room super tall, and I don't want to do that. Okay. That gives some extra detail. That blends the shape of the room. Puts in the shape of the room. So that looks much better. Oops. That's one downside. So that little knob up there is going to keep you from jumping up off that ledge. So I have to be careful of that. But I think that's a small price to pay because that looks really good. The shape of the room looks so much better. I like the work surfaces. Yeah, I am much happier with this. Still doesn't look exactly like the movie, but this is a lot better. All right, let's put the ceiling on, and then I think I'll be done for today. So for the ceiling, let's start with this block here. Now the top deck is going to be up at this level, so we're going to end up with a floor grate up here like this, and this will be the level of the top deck. So you go down and inside, which means the wheelhouse sits right up here at this level. And so because of that, oops, let's because the wheelhouse sits up at that level, I want the floor of it to be there and the ceiling of this room. And by the way, I suspect that if we drop this down to this level, that might mess with the floor grates there on those balconies. Yeah, and it does. So since I want that detail, that means this floor block needs to sit up at this level, and we need to leave a gap under here so that we can see that nice detail on those pieces. So because of that, and I want some kind of depth for the floor up here around this thing, so when you come up through the floor grate there, through the hole in the floor, I want something like that. Which means we need to carry that pipe up just a little bit higher in order to get up to the wheelhouse. And that's interesting because that hole coming up is right there. The steering wheel for the ship sits here, which means we got a really long, lengthy bridge. A little bit longer than what we had in the movie, so I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to deal with that, but one thing at a time. Alright, so this will sit here. That will sit there. We need to put some kind of a top to this. This is the part that might be a problem. I'm actually thinking about the shape of the ship here. Yeah, so this, if we're going to run this all the way down, really we need this in here. I don't think that will cause a problem. With that floor grate, but let's just double check. Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. All right, which means we have the same issue over here. So we want to bring this over. We want to replace this with a single block. And then we want to use this. Okay. All right, so there is that. So now if we come out of the editor and we go down inside the ship, here we are in the chart room. This looks good. That looks like what's in the movie. Much better than what I had before. Okay, the last thing I want to do is, I had mentioned before that using this same texture here, the riveted texture back there, makes it harder to see the fact that there's a doorway here. And rather than stack up a bunch of these blocks, we're going to use the flat texture, because this will save us a little bit of memory. Because we'll have one block, one building piece instead of three. So let's first set this down. This is going to sit like this. And we're going to change the theme on this. And I played around with this ahead of time, just because there's so many styles in here, and I didn't want to waste your time. But what I found worked best was the Tatooine brown metal tile. I'll set that to be my theme. So if we put this along here, and we do that on both sides, and I think if we tweak some of these pieces, or not, I guess we could leave them the way they are. But now when we come in here, you'll see there's a different texture beyond that, so the doorway stands out. And it's a little easier to see that there's some place to go back here. So I like that. Not crazy about the fact that we switch textures here, but I don't think there's really any way around that. But for kind of an indicator that you're near the outer hull, if you want to think of it that way, that could work. And for Nemo's quarters, I think we're going to have to stick with the riveted texture. But I think we're going to have some interior decorations in there, so unlike the hallway, it's not going to be plain metal like this. But there we go. I think that looks better than what I had. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know what you think. Next time, I think I'll attempt to build Nemo's quarters, and maybe the quarters where Ned and the professor were staying. But that's all for me today. I hope you enjoyed my video, and if so, please like and subscribe for more toy box builds like this. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.